Welcome to Screen Talk with yours truly, Nomfanelo Malloy. So I usually talk about the film side when it comes to awards, but I figure based off the nominees this year, I wanted to do my official predictions for the Grammy Awards. Now, I've watched the Grammy Awards for the past couple years on TV. I never officially predict anything, but yeah, it's always just fun to watch the Grammys. It seems more chill, with the performances and all that stuff. But this year, I'm kind of excited just based off, who's nominated and all that stuff. In comparison to what's happening with the film side, particularly with the Oscars, it's very chaotic and all that stuff. But with Grammys, I find it's a bit tricky to predict, mainly because it doesn't have a lot of precursors in comparison to the film side. Because the film side, they have Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, BAFTAs, SAG before the Oscars and all that, which makes it a bit easier to predict on that front. So with my predictions, I'm going off just based of instinct, going off my gut essentially. So I'm not going to predict every category mainly because there is a lot of them and I'm focusing ones that I'm interested in. So first one, best music film. So this one's for concert slash performance films or music documentaries. It's awarded to the artist, video director, and video producer. So the nominees are American Symphony, John Batiste, June Carter Cash, Kings from Queens, Run DMC, Stevie Van Zandt's Disciple, Steven Van Zandt, and The Greatest Night in Pop, various artists. So I think it's gonna boil down to two, which would be American Symphony and The Greatest Night in Pop. Now, both of those are under Netflix. So I ultimately went up with The Greatest Night in Pop. I think mainly because it focuses on the song "We Are the World," and also too, yeah, with Lionel Richie and the late Quincy Jones involved with that one. I figure, why not go with this one? So that's my final prediction for Best Music Film, The Greatest Night in Pop. Now, I do want to add as a side note, I noticed that with Kings from Queens with Run DMC, that's a limited series. So if that's the case, they should consider changing the title to Best Music Film or TV Series. All right, next one. Best Music Video. This one's awarded to the artist, video director, and video producer. So the nominees are Taylor Swift, A$AP Rocky, 360, Charlie XCX, Houdini, Eminem, Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, and Fortnite, Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone. So this one was a bit easier for me to predict. I ultimately decided to choose Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, mainly because it has been the most talked about, not just the song itself, but also the video. I mean, on many reasons, mainly because of the beef between Kendrick and Drake, and also too, with the certain scenes, in the video, being widely discussed. So that's my choice on that one. Now, if that one were not to win, I could see either Fortnite winning or maybe 360 XCX. But I'm sticking with Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar as my final choice. All right, next up, Best Song Written for Visual Media. This is a Songwriter's Award for a song, melody, and lyrics written specifically for motion picture, television, video games, or other visual media and released for the first time during eligibility year. This is singles or tracks only. So the nominees are Ain't No Love in Oklahoma from Twisters, the album. That's by Luke Combs. Better Place from Trolls Band Together. That's NSYNC and Justin Timberlake. Can't Catch Me Now from The Hunger Games. The Ballad of Songs and Snakes by Olivia Rodrigo. It Never Went Away from American Symphony by John Batiste. And Love Will Survive from the Tattooist of Auschwitz by Barbara Streisand. So usually, when it comes to the Oscars, I usually tend, like for the original song category, I usually tend to look at what's nominated and if there's any correlation and all that stuff. This year, it seems like there's none at all. It probably has to do with the eligibility period, if I were to imagine. So the first instinct was to choose "It Never Went Away" by John Batiste, mainly because that was nominated for last year's Oscars. It did not win, but I'm going off my gut. I'm going with "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma" by Luke Combs. I mean, that one is just a fun song off the soundtrack. I would say that's a good soundtrack with Twisters. So I ultimately went up with that one. I think mainly too because that is the more like recent film out of the ones on the list, because I think most of them they came out last year. I'm not sure about the Tattooist of Auschwitz. I could see that one as a spoiler, or probably the John Batiste song "It Never Went Away." So my final pick here is "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma" by Luke Combs. All right, next up, Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media. This one's award to composer or composers for original score created specifically for or as a companion to a current legitimate motion picture, television show, or series or other visual media. The nominees are American Picture, Laura Carvman, composer; challengers, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, composers; The Color Purple, Chris Bowers, composer; Dune Part 2, Hans Zimmer, composer; and Shogun, Nick Chuba, Atticus Ross, and Leopold Ross, composers. So, this one is interesting. So, like with the previous category, it seems like this year's crop for scores has no correlation with the Oscars with what they chose for that category. So I ultimately chose Challengers, mainly because I find that's a more fun score out of the bunch. And it did win the Golden Globe for original score back in early January. So that's gonna be my pick. If I were to guess who else could win, I could see Dune Part Two. I think mainly because it's a good score, and I think also too with the hubbub of that score being ineligible for the Oscars could sway people to vote for that. Another option I see is Shogun, mainly because I've seen that show dominating awards on the TV front, so I could see that winning here. So, but ultimately, I'm sticking for my final pick, Challengers, to win for this one. All right, next category, Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media. This is award to the principal artist or artists and such or in studio producer or producers of a majority of the tracks on the album. In the absence of both, award to the one or two individuals proactively responsible for the concept and musical direction of the album, and for the selection of artists, songs, and producers as applicable. Also goes to appropriately credited music supervisor or supervisors. So the nominees are The Color Purple, various artists; Deadpool and Wolverine, various artists; Maestro, music by Leonard Bernstein; London Symphony Orchestra, Yannick Nézet-Séguin, Bradley Cooper; Saltburn, various artists; and Twisters, the album, various artists. So I ultimately went up. I'm choosing Twisters, the album, for this, mainly because it came out just not long before the eligibility deadline, I believe, and it's a fun album to listen to. So if that one doesn't win, I could see Deadpool and Wolverine, because also too that came out over the summer before the end of eligibility period. So, but ultimately, I'm going with Twisters. Now, who knows? Maybe I could be completely wrong. I'm sticking with Twisters, but I could see a world where it could go to any of the other nominees here. But for the purpose of this prediction, I am going with Twisters, the album. All right, next up, Best Musical Theater Album. This is for albums containing greater than 51% playing time of new records, award to the principal vocalist or vocalist and the album producer producers of 50% or more playing time of the album. The lyricist or lyricists and composer or composers of 50% or more of a score of a new recording are eligible for an award if any previous recording of such score has not been nominated in this category. So the nominees are Hell's Kitchen, Merrily We Go Along, The Notebook, The Outsiders, Suffs, and The Wiz. So I have not kept track in terms of what's happening on the Broadway scene. So I don't know, like, out of these nominees, like if there were any big players when it came to the Tony Awards. But if I were to pick which one I think will win, I think it's between two. It's between Hell's Kitchen and The Wiz. But I ultimately went up decided with Hell's Kitchen. I think mainly because of the people involved with the production, mainly with Alicia Keys. And I've heard a bit of songs from the Broadway play. I've not seen the Broadway play for this, but the music from what I've heard sounds pretty good. So I'm going with this one. But I think, yeah, if it doesn't win, I could see The Wiz winning. Or maybe Merrily We Go Along. I could see that one as well too. But or any of these ones could win. So but for the purpose of this, I'm going with Hell's Kitchen. All right, next up, we're going country here. Best Country Solo Performance. So this is for new vocal or instrumental solo country recordings. The nominees are 16 Carriages, Beyonce, I Am Not Okay, Jelly Roll, The Architect, Casey Musgraves, A Bar Song, Tipsy, Shabuzi, and It Takes a Woman, Chris Stapleton. So this one, these country categories is going to be really telling because there has been uproar with Beyonce's latest album, Cowboy Carter, how for a lot of like the country music awards essentially snubbed her either in terms of nominations or with the wins itself. So, and then also too, apparently Beyonce has said in terms of that album, not fully being a country album, is a Beyonce album. Take that as you will. So I ultimately went with I Am Not Okay by Jelly Roll because I keep seeing that song popping up. So, and I hear it's quite a popular song. So I ultimately went with that one. Maybe Beyonce could take this one. But however, though, I do think with the album not being fully country, I would say it's more country inspired. That could ding her with the awards for the country sections. So I'm sticking with Jelly Roll here. I could see Shabuzi maybe taking this one. Maybe Chris Stapleton could take it, but because with the album coming out, it feels like what 2023 it came out. I don't know if it has a shot. I'm sticking with Jelly Roll. I Am Not Okay for this prediction. All right, next up, Best Country Duo Group Performance. This one's for new vocal or instrumental duo slash group or collaborative country recordings. The nominees are Cowboys Cry 2, Kelsey Ballerini with Noah Kahan, 2, Most Wanted, Beyonce featuring Miley Cyrus, Break Mine, Brothers Born, Bigger Houses, Dan and Shay, and I Had Some Help, Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen. So, this one was a bit tricky, but I am going with Two Most Wanted. That's Beyonce featuring Miley Cyrus. Mainly because I know that's out of like the songs from Cowboy Carter. That song, the duet with Beyonce and Miley, seems to be the most talked about out of the bunch. So I'm going with that one. I could see Post Malone and Morgan Wallen winning this one. So, for the purpose of this, I'm going with Two Most Wanted by Beyonce featuring Miley Cyrus as my prediction for this. Next up, Best Country Song. This is a Songwriters Award. A song is eligible if it was first released or if it was first achieved prominence during eligibility year. This is singles or tracks only. Nominees are The Architect by Casey Musgraves, A Bar Song Tipsy by Shabuzi, I Am Not Okay by Jelly Roll, I Had Some Help by Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen, and Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. So I am going with the Jelly Roll song, I Am Not Okay. I think mainly just because what I've stated previously earlier that I see it's the most widely talked about song. I keep seeing that popping up online. And yeah, because like with Beyonce, as I've mentioned, I say it's like the album's fantastic. It was my favorite album that came out last year and all that stuff. But again, however, because we're in the country section, so apparently forgot to mention this at the beginning. For the genres, it's the votes are done by the people that specialize in that genre. So with that in mind, it kind of it helps me to decide which ones I think will win and all that stuff. So I think, yeah, because of that, I'm going with the Jelly Roll. I Am Not Okay. So that's my final prediction. If that doesn't win, probably Post Malone or Morgan Wallen could win, or Shabuzi. I mean, I would love for Beyonce to take it, but again, I am not too sure. All right, best country album. So this is for albums containing greater than 75% playing time of new country recordings. So the nominees are Cowboy Carter, Beyonce, F1 Trillion, Post Malone, Deeper Well, Casey Musgraves, Higher, Chris Stapleton, and Whirlwind, Lainey Wilson. So this one was a bit tricky to predict. I think it'll probably boil down to two, maybe three, but I ultimately went with Higher by Chris Stapleton. It came out, late 2023 album, so that could possibly ding it because I think most of the albums here came out in 2024. So yeah, I ultimately went with Chris Stapleton. I think because like he has been nominated before, he has won before. Um, Also, too, it's a great album and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm going with that as my prediction. If that one were not to win, I could see Post Malone taking this one. Again, I'm not sure if Beyonce could take it, but I'm sticking with Chris Stapleton. I could be completely wrong in this, but I'm ultimately choosing that as my prediction here. Okay, so we're going into rap. All right, first up, best rap performance. This is for rap performance, singles or tracks only. Nominees are Enough, Miami by Cardi B, When the Sun Shines Again by Common and Pete Rock featuring Post Nos, if I'm saying that correct, Nissan Altima by Doechii, Houdini by Eminem, Like That by Future and Metro Boomin featuring Kendrick Lamar, Yeah Glow by Glorilla, and Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. Now, when the nominees for this category came up, my first instinct was that, oh, Kendrick is going to win this one for Not Like Us, for obvious reasons. But as the more I've thought about it, I mean, you might be shocked, but I'm going with Doechii here for Nissan Altima. I mean, because she did, I would say, fantastic job with that song, and it's very catchy and all that stuff. But again, this was a tough category to predict. I mean, the easiest safe bet is to choose Kendrick Lamar for Not Like Us. I know some people are probably going to choose Like That, but really for me with that song, I mean Kendrick verse was a standout one. Honestly, apart from that, it didn't really stand out for me with that song in terms of the other verses, but it's still a good song. So I could be completely wrong. It is probably Kendrick is going to take this one, but I'm going with my gut here. I'm going with Dochi Nissan Altima for the win here. Next up, Best Melodic Rap Performance. This is for a solo or collaborative performance containing both elements of R&B melodies and rap. So nominees are Kalani by Jordan Adetunji featuring Kalani, Spaghetti by Beyonce featuring Linda Martell and Shabuzi, We Still Don't Trust You by Future Metro Boomin featuring The Weeknd, Big Mama by Lotto, and 3 a.m. by Rhapsody featuring Erica Badu. I was not sure what to choose for this category, to be honest. I don't know if Beyonce could take this one because the fact that with Cowboy Carter, being advertised essentially as a country album, even though it's not really a country album, more country influenced, I that could probably hurt her chances in this category. It's still a great song, regardless. Um, I mean, the next instinct was to choose Future Metro Boomin for "We Still Don't Trust You." But I wasn't too sure about that one either. I mean, this one might be a surprise, but I'm going with my gut. I'm going with Rhapsody AM featuring Erica Badu. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm going with my gut. I'm going with Rhapsody featuring Erica Badu 3M as my final prediction. Best Rap Song. This is a Songwriters Award. Singles or tracks only. Nominees are Asteroids by Rhapsody featuring Hit Boy, Carnival by Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign featuring Rich the Kid and Playboy Cardi, Like That by Future Metro Boomin featuring Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, and Yeah Glow by Glorilla. For me, this one was fairly easy to predict. I'm going with Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. I mean, the writing for me stands out with that song because it not just in reference of the beef, obviously, but also too the song could be more than that. It could reference a lot of things depending on how you look at it. So, but however, though, possibly because he's also nominated with Like That, there's a chance those could cancel each other out, and maybe Glorilla or Rhapsody could take this one. But I'm going with my instincts here. I'm going Kendrick here, Not Like Us, for the win. And then last for the rap section, Best Rap Album. This is for albums containing greater than 75% playing time of new rap recordings. So the nominees are Might Delete Later by J. Cole, The Auditorium Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock, Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii, The Death of Slim Shady Coup de Grace by Eminem, and We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin. So when the nominees first came out, the instinct was to choose We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin. But as time went on, I ultimately decided with Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii. For me, that's a phenomenal album. It was one of my favorite albums that came out last year. And yeah, Doechii essentially had a great year last year, and I would say she'll still continue to have a great year. I mean, We Don't Trust You, I would say, still has a shot to take this one. I would probably say it's between those two. Maybe Common and Pete Rock could take this. I don't see J. Cole winning this because it's funny calling that album Might Delete Later, despite deleting the diss track towards Kendrick off the album. I thought when that happened was hilarious. With the Eminem album, it seemed like there were mixed responses with that one. So that's why, yeah, for me, I'm ultimately going with Doechii for this one. Doechii for the win. So hopefully that comes true. Okay, next up, we're going into Popland here. Best Pop Solo Performance. So this is for new vocal or instrumental pop recordings, singles or tracks only. Nominees are Bodyguard by Beyonce, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter, Apple by Charlie XCX, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, and Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan. So, pop this year is interesting. There's been a lot of phenomenal songs and albums that came out in the pop space. Um, because the instinct was to go with Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. It's a great song. Or Espresso, would be a choice. But I was thinking in terms of performance, because performance was what stood out to me. So out of the nominees here, I'm going with Chapel Rowan. Good luck, babe. Because that, yeah, stood out to me in terms of the vocals and all that stuff. And it's more poppy, I would say, out of the bunch, in my opinion. Because with Beyonce, as I mentioned, with her appearing in different genres, may or may not hurt her chances in the genre categories. Yeah. So Chapel Rowan, I'm going for the win here. So, next one, best pop duo slash group performance. This is for new vocal or instrumental duo slash group or a collaborative pop recording, singles or tracks only. Nominees are Us by Gracie Abrams featuring Taylor Swift, Levi's Jeans by Beyonce featuring Post Malone, Guess by Charlie XCX and Billie Eilish, The Boy's Mine by Ariana Grande, Brandy and Monica, and Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. This one for me was fairly easy to predict. I'm going with Die With a Smile, mainly because that song has been everywhere, was a hit for both Lady Gaga and Bruno. It's not my favorite song, but it did well for various reasons and all that stuff. So, and they had chemistry with that song, even though for me the song was hit and miss. They had chemistry while doing that song together. So, that's why I'm going with that one. Now, if that song were not to win, I could see Charlie XCX and Billie Eilish winning this one, or Gracie Abrams and Taylor Swift with that song "Us." So, but here, my final prediction: "Die with a Smile" by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. Next up, Best Pop Vocal Album. For albums containing greater than 75% playing time of new pop vocal recordings. Nominees are Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish, Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande, Chapel Roan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, a Chapel Roan, and Torture Poets Department by Taylor Swift. So, I think this will boil down to two or three people on this list. I ultimately went with Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet. I have not listened to the album. I think the only albums I listened to here was the Billie Eilish one, which was one of my faves that came out last year, and Tortured Poets Department for me was very hit and miss with that one. But yeah, I went with Sabrina because mainly, yeah, it's a very poppy record. And yeah, she's had a great year and all that stuff. So yeah, I ultimately went with that with Sabrina as my prediction. Maybe Billie Eilish could take this one. We'll see. Or Chapel Roan. I don't know if Taylor could take this one. I think mainly because the reception has been very mixed with this album. And there was some controversy surrounding the multiple deluxe versions of the album coming out. So I think that could hurt her chances here, but also too in the general field. We'll see about that one. But here for the purpose of this, my final prediction here is Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet. All right, we're getting into the general field. This one should be interesting. So let's start with Songwriter of the Year Non-Classical. This is a Songwriters Award. So here is the nominees. So we have Jesse Alexander, Amy Allen, Edgar Barrera, Jesse Joe Dillon, Ray. This category, along with the Producer of the Year, is quite tricky to predict because they're fairly new categories. So I looked with the list of credits here that they're nominated for, and I decided to choose Ray as my prediction here. I think her being an artist out of the bunch here, it works to her advantage. Plus, she's also nominated for Best New Artist, so that helps as well. So, yeah, I'm going with Ray here for the win. But if she were to not win, I would probably choose maybe Edgar Barrera as an alternative pick, or Amy Allen. I think with Jesse Alexander and Jesse Joe Dillon, I think because both mainly focus on country songs here based off the list here, could cancel each other out. So that's why I'm going with Ray here for the win. If not her, I would say either Amy Allen or Edgar Barrera for the win. So there's that. All right, Producer of the Year Non Classical. This is a Producer's Award. So nominees are Alicia, Dernis DeMille, Emil Second, Ian Fitchuk, Mustard, and then lastly, Dan Nigro. So this one was also a bit tricky. I could see two or three people when taking this one. So I ultimately went with DeMille for this one, just based on the stuff he's been included here in this list. He's been nominated before. I don't know, like in this category specifically, but he has been nominated. I think he has won before. I can't remember for which categories off the top of my head. But yeah, I think he has a good shot. I know like the instinct is to choose Mustard. But I do worry because he only has three things nominated here compared to the other nominees. Might be, but I still say he has a shot. Another option is Daniel Nigro. But I do wonder though, because it's only for stuff he's worked with Olivia Rodrigo and Chapel Rowan. I don't know, but yeah, I ultimately went with DeMille here for the win. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I saw some people predict Dinigro for this category, but we'll see what happens there. Next up, Best New Artist. Says this category recognizes an artist whose eligibility year release or releases achieved a breakthrough into the public consciousness and notably impacted the musical landscape. So the nominees are Benson Boone, Sabrina Carpenter, Doechii, Khruangbin, Ray, Chapel Roan, Shabuzi, and Teddy Swims. So first off, we need to change the title Best New Artist because most of the people on this list are not new. I mean, the more appropriate title would be either Best Breakthrough Artist or Best Emerging Artist. At least that way you could combine people that are like new to the scene, but also people that maybe have a bit of experience but are not completely there yet in terms of career wise. So please consider that, Grammys, because new artists really doesn't apply to a lot of people here in the field. But yeah, regardless, a few people here has a shot of winning, but I ultimately went with Doechii here for the win because I think she has a strong shot, mainly because, with her album, and then also to her performances, was on Tiny Desk and the Stephen Colbert one stood out. So I think, yeah, like because of that, I would say she has a high chance of winning here. Now, if she doesn't win, I could see Sabrina Carpenter taking this one or Chapel Rowan. Maybe Ray, but I think she has a stronger shot for the Songwriter one, which I predicted her to win. So my final pick here is Doechii for the win. All right, best song. No, it's not best. Okay, Song of the Year. This is a Songwriters Award. Singles or tracks only. Nominees are A Bar Song Tipsy by Shabuzi, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Fortnite by Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone, Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, Please 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 by Sabrina Carpenter, and Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. Now, just want to point out here. So, unlike with the genre categories, with general field, everybody votes for those sections here. So, keep that in mind while predicting these categories. Forgot to mention that. So, because I noticed while looking at here, there's a lot of pop songs on this list. And I do wonder, because of that, they could cancel each other out. So, with that, yeah, with Bar Song Tipsy, maybe has a shot because I know it did very, very well in terms of the Billboard charts and all that stuff. I don't know if Beyonce could win this one. Um, so my pick here, it might be a surprising pick to some, but not to me. I'm going with Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us here. Now, I have, while researching a few days ago or weeks ago, can't remember. Kendrick has been nominated before in the genre field in the past, but has never won. And with Not Like Us being the huge juggernaut, either surprisingly or not, I would say he has a very strong chance of winning this time. Now, I think what the last rap song to win big time in genre field was This Is America by Childish Gambino. So yeah, I'm going with Not Like Us here because for me, yeah, like as I mentioned previously, the songwriting stands out here. Yes, it references the beef, but also too it could reference outside of that and all that stuff. So yeah, let's go Not Like Us here for the win. Now, if that doesn't win, I could see maybe Die with a Smile with that one. I could see that one taking it. Maybe Shibuzi could take this one. Maybe. I could also see Please, Please, Please winning this one. Now, because I did listen to an episode of Song Explorer. I recommend you guys check out that podcast. The episode of that song, Please, 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 was really good on that one. So, yeah. But my final prediction, Not Like Us, for Kendrick Lamar for the win. Next up, Record of the Year. So this goes to the artists and to the producers, record engineers, or mixers and mastering engineers, if other than the artist. Now, this is more about the production value of the music. So think of like the background music and all that stuff. So the nominees are Now and Then by the Beatles, Texas Hold'em by Beyonce, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter, 360 by Charlie XCX, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, Good Luck Babe by Chapel Rowan, and Fortnite by Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone. Alrighty, so I had to listen to these songs over and I tried to remember the production of the songs. And the one that stood out to me out of the bunch, I'm sure might surprise some of you here. And this is my pick here for this category. I'm going with Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. I mean, that beat is catchy, like dun dun dun, bam bam bam, and all that. Yeah, I'm going with that for the win, obviously. If that song were not to win, I could see maybe Espresso taking this one, maybe, or 360. I mean, yeah, Beyonce I would say has a stronger shot here than with Song of the Year. But yeah, I'm going with my gut here. I'm going with Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar for the win. So we'll see what happens there. And then last one, the big one, Album of the Year. This is awarded to the artist or artists and to featured artists or artists, songwriter or songwriters of new material, producer, producers, recording engineer, engineers, mixer, mixers, and mastering engineer or engineers credited with 20% or more playing time of the album. So the nominees are New Blue Sun by Andre 3000, Cowboy Carter by Beyonce, Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter, Brat by Charlie XCX, Jesse Volume 4 by Jacob Collier, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish, Chapel Roan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chapel Roan, and Torture Poets Department by Taylor Swift. So this one is an interesting one to Now, out of the ones here, I don't see Jacob Collier winning this one. I think mainly because that one did not get a lot of nominations from my recollection out of the bunch, so I don't see him winning this one. I know Taylor Swift has won before in this category. She won last year for Midnights. I don't know if this album, if she could take this one. With so many pop albums here on this list, they could cancel each other out. So keep, and then also too, like I said, because everybody is voting here, I don't know if any of the pop albums has a shot here. So, but for me, there were two choices. There was Beyonce or Andre 3000. Now, many of you wondered like why Andre 3000. Well, I think that album out of the albums here could appeal to the older voters. And plus also too, like the fact he's Andre 3000, he has won before in this category, but as part of Outcast. So if he does win, it'll be the surprise win to many. It would not be a surprise to me. I mean, that was a great album that when that came out that year, but yeah, but my pick here is Beyonce Cowboy Carter, which may not be a surprise. For me, like I said, it was the best album that came out last year. I know people have been wanting Beyonce to win this category for many, many years. But I do wonder because if you remember last year, Jay Z during his acceptance speech, he essentially urged, he kind of took a shot at the Grammys for not having Beyonce win Album of the Year and essentially urging people to vote for her and all that stuff. If my memory serves correct for that one. I wonder because of that, is it going to help her case to win this year or is that going to hurt it? I did not check any of the predictions sites for this category because, I mean, those you take with a grain of salt because just because, let's say, you have people say, oh, this will win and all this stuff, it's not reflective of the majority of the voters and all that stuff. So I try to avoid that stuff as much as possible. So I'm going with my gut here. I'm going with Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. Now, if that one were not to win, I could see Andre 3000 taking this one. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see on this one. So that's essentially my predictions for the Grammys. So I wondered, yeah, what's gonna happen here? Anything can happen because I think yeah there'll be stuff that obviously is going to win. Well, we may have some surprises. We may have some surprises. So that's pretty much it. So the Grammys are taking place on Sunday, February 2nd. So the premiere ceremony, that's where I believe the majority of the winners will be announced. That starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch it on the Grammys website, but also too on their YouTube channel. And also too in Canada for the main Grammy Awards ceremony, that's 8 p.m. You can watch that on City TV or with Prime Video, you could watch it through the City TV live TV channel on that one. So I'll leave links to the description if you want to find this information out. So also too, I want to know what do you guys think will win in the categories. Let me know in the comments section. Also too, if you want to support me, you can visit my Buy Me a Coffee link, which is buymeacoffee.com/NomFeMalloy, or you could do either a one-time payment or a monthly payment for that. It'll be very appreciative. If you want to follow me on social media, my links are in the description. So I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to catch you on the next one.